has been. It devastated the whole family, and I'd like to thank the PSNI at the minute, because this investigation has given us hope that we haven't had for the past 29 years. We feel like we've got a good investigation going, and we're going to have results out of it. As Lorraine's sister, if I was living with something not in my conscience at this stage, and it could be something very small, you think it's not important, but everything's important. Remember, this was not a paramilitary or a trouble-related murder. This was a sexual attack and beating of a 22-year-old woman. It was something that hung over the family that nobody could talk to each other about, because it started somebody off crying, or children heard it, and it was only really in 2004, 2005 that we were able to look at Lorraine's case ourselves, and that's when it all started the ball rolling.
Was that because of the passing of the murder of her son at the time?
Well, we'd already went to the Ombudsman before that, but when Lorraine's son was then murdered, we got more information than what we'd ever got before.
Cathy, when did you find out that Lorraine had been a victim of a sex attack?
After Nat Carey's report in 2014.
Do you think it would have made a difference back then if that had been known?
No, because in Nat Carey's report, the pathologist never carried out a rape kit test or anything like that, so it wouldn't have helped back then.
Is there a possibility that DNA may be recovered from Lorraine's body to show who carried out a rape if that happened?
I'll let you answer that.
DNA has been recovered, and as we know that there has been developments in technology and the examination of DNA which are currently ongoing, and we will continually review that and any possibilities of further lines of inquiry of identifying suspects and confirming suspects, we will take that forward.
Well, has that not revealed who carried out the rape?
There's still investigations ongoing, but we have DNA. But we still need people who were there that night to come forward and speak to us. And yes, I would be hopeful that with the help and support of the community, that we will be able to progress these lines of inquiries, and we will get closer to that evidential point, and maybe hopefully get actually past that threshold for charging.
How confident are you of making the breakthrough all these years on?
We are appealing here today for the help from the community. We really need to speak to those people that were at Tynedale community on that night in question. We have spoken to some, as I said earlier, and there's some that we weren't able to identify at that time. They hold the crucial links that will piece everything together. The DNA evidence has been taken from various areas throughout the investigation.
Was Lorraine's body exhumed to get DNA?
Lorraine's body has not been exhumed.
So how did you get the DNA?
I don't want to disclose where that DNA is, as that may jeopardise any future court processes.
Well, the area of the community centre has changed completely. People that had the power to hurt people have moved out of that area. People are not frightened so much now, paramilitaries, as what they were back then. And back then, I don't think there was many people realised that it was a sexual attack. You know, I think that's the thing that will affect women and people that have been there and maybe just seen a small bit, but hopefully they're the people that will come forward now.
Cathy, how much do you need your suffering to end? How much do you want justice for your sister?
I never stop fighting until I get it for her, although we do have a lot of faith in this team and actually bringing convictions for Lorraine's murder.
After all these years, how are you feeling now that there's a new investigation?
Very upbeat, very, very glad. We've fought hard to get to this point, and we believe we've now got to the point that we wanted to go to. Come forward and clear your conscience, because they're all the same age as what Lorraine would have been, and maybe grandchildren and children of their own. How are they going to tell their children they were involved in something horrific as this? They're far better coming forward.
And knowing that she was also raped as well as murdered?
That makes a lot of sense for us as a family as to why she was murdered.
And Detective, you're only establishing now that Lorraine was the victim of a rape?
It was always suspected that she was a victim of a rape, but we're now exploring that further. We know that the Tynedale Community Centre at that time was used and run by loyalist paramilitary groups, namely the UDA, This was not a sectarian murder, as Cathy has indicated, and there's no evidence to suggest that the UDA directed or sanctioned the murder, but we do believe that persons who were involved in the rape and her murder were members of the UDA and close associates of the UDA.
And it was a brutal murder and merciless killing, you said in the past phrase. How did you describe Lorraine's McCausland's murder?
Lorraine was savagely beaten to death, and as I've described, she was left half naked lying on the ground. That's no death for anybody.